All right, I'm here with Caitlin to talk about post-quantum cryptography, among other things. But first, Apple has put out a new security feature specifically to protect people from the exploits of NSO Group and similar people that sell military and government people these tools that infect your phone and let them steal your location and your chat history and everything. And they call this thing lockdown mode. So you can, it's not something they expect an average person to use, but someone like a journalist or a political campaigner that feels like they're at risk could run their phone in lockdown mode, which will turn off a whole bunch of things, sort of like a Windows safe mode, hopefully preventing that military-oriented commercial software to spy on you from working. So sounds like a really good step forward to me. And Caitlin's got satellite internet.
I do have satellite internet. So the Insider has an article written by Tim Levin talking about SpaceX's new venture. So Starlink has been touted as this somewhat low cost solution for people living out in the middle of nowhere who need internet. And apparently now they're branching off into the most coveted, very much mundane world of yachts. And so apparently they are going to charge $5,000 per month for internet on yachts, which I have no idea why they cost this much for yachts. As far as I can tell from the article, they're not actually adding that much better service. I do understand that they do need slightly better satellite equipment or better dishes on the ground or on the boat, because the boat is rocking and it needs to stabilize with the so essentially the way these dishes work, they use a phased array antenna grid essentially to create a beam directly between it and the satellite that's moving overhead. And so you can imagine how much more difficult that is when the platform that the phased array antennas are on is rocking about. And so I do understand that. And they do say that there's a $10,000 initial investment just for the special satellite dish to go on yachts. And the download speeds is 350 megabits per second. Which is, I think, pretty much the same as regular Starlink. Now, I have no idea why it's so much more expensive for yachts, but I mean, okay, go for it. If you own a yacht, I guess you want to spend $5,000 a month on the internet, so go for it.
Apparently so.
Hopefully it'll make it cheaper for the rest of us.
It might, yes. Or they might just make more profit. Anyway. All right. Anyway, I was very pleased to observe Gavin Newsom has declared that California is going to manufacture its own insulin, cutting the price at least by half, which really seems like a great idea. Studies show, I think, more than half of the people that take insulin find it so expensive that they've actually taken less than they should to save money, which is a really bad idea. So I'm very glad to see that. And Caitlin has got the death of AM radios.
Yeah, no, AM radio, it seems to be on the way out. So there's an article here by thedrive.com, boom, 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 and it's written by James Gilboy. So there's a lot of new high-tech cars on the market. You basically don't have a choice now. You're getting an EV. I know 25% of Americans don't like it, but you're getting an EV. That's just, gas is too expensive. You're either getting a hybrid or an EV, solid EV, but gas cuts solution on the way out.
I think in California it'll be mandated to be EVs pretty soon.
Yes, in some states it will even be mandated.
Yeah.
This is just the way things are going. You have no choice. This is basic economics.
Yeah.
As well as a few government policies. But what's really interesting is that a lot of these newer high-tech cars are not coming with AM radio, which is such a basic feature that is just expected with cars. And auto manufacturers have been a little bit coy about the reasoning behind this. Now, some have said that the electromagnetic radiation emitted by the electric vehicles is interfering with the reception of AM stations, so they're leaving it out of the cars. Now, of course, this makes no sense because there are many electric type cars, that do receive AM just fine. Okay, so we know that's not really the case. What's really going on is that AM is just falling out of favor, essentially, especially in parts of Europe. Because remember, auto manufacturers are not just making cars for America; they're making cars for, every, part of the world. And just AM is just falling out of favor for, just FM radio or digital radio, DAB, in European countries. And it's just not being included anymore, which is a problem because AM radio, I always thought of AM radio as the, how do I put this? The type of radio that you would use in an emergency, right? It's so basic. It's so you sort of expect every radio you have to also get AM. You can make an AM receiver yourself using some like batteries and, some, clever engineering, but it's just very simple. It's been around since the early 20th century, probably even before that. And it's great if there's an emergency, you tune into an AM station. AM also, by the way, transmits further than FM, making it really ideal if there's an emergency. If you are in the middle of nowhere and you need to get that emergency, data or emergency instructions, AM radio is the way to go. Unfortunately, it does seem to be dying out, which is a problem because one of the ways to keep it accessible is to make it sort of a standard part of every, radio set that you buy. But apparently that's not going to be the case anymore. And they're even dropping it out of cars, which is concerning, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I haven't used kind of radio in years. My radio broke maybe 5 years ago and I just put a Bluetooth speaker in my car. So I have sympathy for the auto manufacturers that say nobody probably really wants it.
They probably don't. There are a lot of people that do listen to the radio in cars. And what's really kind of frustrating, I suppose, is that AM is not really an expensive feature. If you already have a radio in your car, an audio system, adding AM radio on top of, FM is not going to cost you a lot of money, hardly any money. In fact, you can go to any store and pick up an AM FM radio for like under $10. I mean, it's not high tech stuff, but they just don't want to put it into these newer cars. I don't know why. Maybe it just seems too low tech for these cars. I don't know, but it's still, like I said, I don't think a great idea because this technology is not only for entertainment, it is also important for emergency services. So,
okay. Well, all right. And now we get to the stuff I thought was the big story, which is NIST has announced quantum resistant cryptographic algorithms. This contest has been going on for 6 years. And there are 4 winning algorithms, 1 for general purpose encryption and 3 for signature. And the 2 most highly recommended are both from the Crystal project, and they're both named after science fiction things. Crystal Kyber is the general purpose encryption and crystal dilithium is the signature. And I knew what dilithium crystals were from Star Trek, but I didn't know Kyber crystals are the crystals that power lightsabers in Star Wars. So that's balanced Star Wars and Star Trek. Anyway, those are recommended. And there is a very good walkthrough from Red Rocket Club that goes through with small values of the parameters. So you understand how this works. It's based on learning with errors from machine learning. And it's actually very wonderful. You add an error, but the error has smaller coefficients than the data. So when you're done, you just round off the data. You end up with large parameters of a polynomial. And if they're above a certain, you would get 1 bit from each one of those parameters. You round it off as either a high or a low number. And therefore the errors vanish. Anyway, the point of that being that even a quantum computer cannot do that fast. However, as a warning, you probably can't trust any of this stuff very much yet, even though NIST has approved it, because there was another one that made it through the 3rd round, but not through the 4th round, called Rainbow, which was down when they were down to 3 finalists for general purpose for signatures, I think. Well, something like that. A small number of finalists. Rainbow won. Rainbow was in the list, and they built a cryptocurrency, of course, using Rainbow because cryptocurrency claiming to be post-quantum is pretty common. And it's called the ABC coin. And on the NIST forums, somebody appeared and they posted a series of articles breaking the Rainbow cryptography. They found a crack, then they found another crack, then they found an efficient algorithm to break into it completely. And the people owning ABC coin apparently appeared on the NIST forums saying, you should all buy ABC coin. It's the post-quantum coin. It's great. And that rainbow signature crack, that's not real. That's not practical. It would never work. And we'll pay $400,000 to anybody who breaks into this wallet. So somebody used that algorithm and broke into the wallet and said, okay, where's my 400 grand? And we'll see if they actually get their 400 grand. But anyway, it does demonstrate that even though for 6 years, all the mathematicians involved have been vigorously trying to crack these and they haven't cracked them, that by no means proves that there are no holes in them. So be warned. And everybody says what you really should do now, rather than choosing one of these quantum algorithms, post-quantum algorithms and converting to it, you should write code that makes it easy for you to upgrade your encryption algorithm later, because you should just accept that all these things are like melting ice flows. Whatever crypto you use will probably need to be revised periodically as time goes forward, and you should just accept that. So anyway, that's the world of post-quantum crypto. And Caitlin's got the Sony article. I saw this one.
Yeah, so this is the article that I thought was the most interesting this week, or the past few days, I should say. The Sony PlayStation Store is going to be removing movies that you bought. So this is an article on variety.com by Todd Spangler. So what's going on? So apparently I haven't bought a PlayStation since, oh God, the PlayStation 2 days. But apparently nowadays you can buy, or you were in the past, able to buy movies onto your PlayStation device, which makes sense. Sony is a movie studio after all. And so you can go on Sony's PlayStation Store and buy movies from the studio canal, which, then it would go into your library and you would own these digital versions of movies you could watch on your PlayStation. Cool. I like that. I mean, I actually prefer that model over the Netflix model of just a subscription service. If you're only going to watch like a few movies, just buying them to always have them, I think is the way to go. Unfortunately, we are seeing the side effects of having digital only goods being bought, which is the fact that Sony has then now decided that you won't be able to watch your movies anymore that you bought due to apparently licensing issues or something. So you bought these movies. They are apparently yours, but not really, because you didn't read the fine print in the user in the EULA. So Sony is able to just say, "Hey, we're cutting off the service," even though you bought them and downloaded them, and last month you could watch them at any time. As of August 31st, 2022, you will no longer be able to, view your previously purchased content. It will be removed from your library. And by the way, thank you so much for your support. You're a great customer. See you later.
But only in Germany and Austria, this particular lockdown.
Right.
But
so, yeah, I mean, this has been, this has been a Stallman type threat for a long time, where people have been saying, oh, you can't trust these big corporations with our digital goods, and they'll just have too much control and maybe take away our stuff. And that kind of happens.
Yeah, that's true. And there was the famous case where they actually reached down to people's Kindles and sucked a book back off it.
Not only that, it was 1984.
Yeah. So this is the thing about digital goods. That's why some people still like the official paper books that you stick on the shelf and such.
Right. I was, so for people that don't know, I actually joined Amazon recently, and I'm going through a lot of training. I apparently have 3 months worth of onboarding, which is fantastic.
I'm
but already
now, but for none of them, it's not that onerous for any of the ones I'm working for.
Yeah. So, one of the cases that I was looking over, or they make every employee look over, is the case of the 1984 recall on the Kindles, and how that was a big mistake. And it's like, okay, good idea.
Yeah, there are probably some business lessons to learn from that.
Yes.
All right, and one I saw, which I saw very little details about, but I thought was very interesting, that China has set up a drag sale and somehow attached this to one of the pieces of space junk and used it to bring it down. So this may be a model of cleaning up space junk, but I'd like to know more about exactly how they did it, how much it cost, and how practical it would be to do it for more junk.
I mean, ideally, what you would want to do is put this up on everything that's going up,
Right.
that's in low Earth orbit. And of course, this will only work in low Earth orbit. And all this does is accelerates, how fast it's going to fall out of orbit. Because anything that low that a drag sail will pull it out of orbit is going to fall out of orbit anyway over time. The question is, what if you have something in geostationary orbit? How do you get that falling back to Earth? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't think I can do anything about that, but maybe, and this would be something you deploy on your satellites when you first launch them, I suppose.
I think that'd probably be the way to go if you want to use a drag sail to bring it down early.
Yeah.
Sending another one up to attach and then use the drag sail not only is costly, it's also dangerous too, because if there is an accident, you now have not just one piece of debris you want to bring down, you have 100,000 pieces of debris.
So this may not be a way to clean up the existing junk, but it might be a way to prevent future junk.
Or at least bring it down early. Like I said, it's not something that anything that that will be dragged down through a big parachute type device has drag already.
Yeah.
So
okay. Well, yep, I'm still waiting for a good solution for the existing junk then.
Yeah, the question is, how do we bring down something that I mean, like I said, this is really good if you need to bring down something fast, like it suddenly stops working, you need to bring it down immediately so it's not taking up space. I think it's a great idea. Let's do it. The question is, what if you have a collision and now you have a whole bunch of shrapnel?
Right.
How do you bring down all those little pieces? I don't know.
Right. That's what we don't have a good solution for.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it for this one. And we'll have another one on Tuesday, probably late because I'm traveling and my schedule is sort of varied.